Mrs. Rebecca Akufo-Addo, the first lady. You see President Akufo-Addo filing past the body. Kafi Day. It's been a very solemn day, and today is going to be the day for the leadership of this country. President and the wife in to pay their last respect. How do you look at this and how does this reflect and build the image of Ghana?
Well, it's one of the respects. Former president who passed away 2 months ago, so he's doing what has to be done, and accompanied by his wife and members of his team. So they've done what is expected of them, and we are glad for that.
We're glad. So this is how beautiful the whole builds on the Republic of Ghana. The former president was the first of the Fourth Republican Constitution, the first president of the Fourth Republic, and President Akufo-Addo is the fifth president of the Fourth Republic. So the fifth is now paying due respect to the first president of the Fourth Republic. And the Fourth Republic has been the institution that has given us a very stable democracy. Stable democracy. This is something, and in the past we always talk about checkered political history. But this time, I think that word checkered political history, it's something that we'll have to start learning to do away with.
It's quite symbolic that the Fourth Republic was ushered in by a man who has been intimately involved in the history of the country. Some would say for the wrong reasons, because of what happened in 1979, which brought down a military government, and then in 81, which curtailed the Third Republic. But the irony and the enigma and the mystery is that the same person who was behind the May 15th insurrection was an integral part of June 4th, 79 and December 31st, 81, is the same person who transformed to become a democratic leader and served for 2 terms, duly elected. And then after his second term, he did what most people did not expect him to do. He did not perpetuate himself in power. He just handed over. And his party even lost that election in 2000, which is an oddity in most parts of the world, where how can you be in power for so long and then your party loses an election? It's not done. And there are a lot of countries in Africa which go by that rule, that you can't be in power for that long and lose. Yes, but that's the way things happen in Ghana, and events conspired to bring us to this point where we are celebrating almost 30 years of this democracy. Next year, it'll be 30 years for the 92 Constitution. And Ms. Rawlings played a big part in it. And it's only befitting that we pay respect to him, not just as a fallen president, but also somebody who was a big part of this country's history.
Right. Lieutenant Nunate, if you look at the whole scenario, so peaceful, so beautiful, because you people are in charge. I say you people, and I tell you, the military in charge. Now you see how orderly the place is, and everything's space, so cameras can even take shots. And I know you people by this time, you're happy that we are in charge of an order. And are you happy that we are seeing what is extremely wonderful and beautiful?
The professionalism of the service, how we work hand in hand, how we contribute to make events come together.
No, let me rudely interrupt you and now announce the arrival of His Excellency the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia. He is now arriving, and he will be accompanied by, he will be here with a wife, Samira Bawumia, to pay their respect to the late President Jerry John Rawlings. So we're now seeing the arrival of His Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Alhaji Dr. Bawumia. Kafui, it looks as if you look at the program for today, the President at 9 a.m., and then from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., this is what is going to happen. The President comes in, and just as the President had left, the Vice President had come. It looks as if this is demonstrating quality, demonstrating time.
Yeah, it's we shouldn't. You see, the sad thing is that we get surprised when things happen on time, which shouldn't be the case. I know circumstances where people are described as, oh, you're not Ghanaian just because you arrived somewhere on time. That should not be the case. It should be normal for things to happen on time. The President was expected to be here at 9, and he was here even before 9. Yeah, it's just a few minutes past 9 o'clock, and everything is going like clockwork. So we can plan. We know what is happening. President and First Lady to come. We now have the Vice President and the Second Lady. We are expecting to see former presidents and their spouses next. So we are just following schedule. And this should be the norm. We shouldn't get excited that things happen on time. Yes. In fact, in some countries like Japan, Germany, people have been known to resign for coming to, in Japan, a train arrived a couple of seconds late, and the CEO of the train company resigned because the train arrived a couple of seconds later than
a typical Ghanaian would say, this man is not serious.
Why
do I leave my way? Because the train was late.
Was I the one piloting the train?
No.
That's the kind of question to ask. But you see, sticking to time, it shows respect for another person. If you give the person 9 and you get there at 9, it shows respect. So that's the Vice President acknowledging the presence of the family.
We used putting our palm in your, and now because of COVID, now everybody is folding his arms, and brother is afraid of brother.
I say the finger snap is now extinct. The Ghanaian finger.
Yes.
Where you
snap, yes.
It's extinct.
It's gone.
I don't know the last time I shook anybody
and I don't think it's going to come.
We are now Japanese bowing. Yeah, Chinese. We're bowing. Yeah. So it's in and out. And it's a reference.
Spending any long time in the room, you quickly need to walk out, and because COVID is telling us that when you stay in an enclosed, air-conditioned room, you can transmit COVID in a faster. Now he's leaving, and immediately after he leaves, I know the next person that is going to come will follow him immediately. So Kafui, who is the next? The next person coming in?
Well, according to our schedule.
Yes.
Former presidents and their spouses.
Yes.
Then the secretary to.
And then from 11 to 11:30, we're expecting the Chief Justice, former Chief Justices, and Justices of the Supreme Court, followed by former Chairman and former members of the Council of State, and then former Ministers of State. So everything has been, there's an order of precedence that has been determined. And so number 1, of course, is the President. And then, his Vice, and then the former President. Everything has been determined by the standards of protocol. We are just following it, that's all.
And this is real demonstration of protocol, because if you look at it, I don't think maybe the President, people might be imagining, is the President staying next door to the Vice President? So when he's going to say, brother, I'm taking the lead. So brother follows up. But here it's an indication that this is a country, this is a program, this is a planned activity, and so therefore it has been planned in such a way. So we should be expecting to see the next guest come in the next few minutes.
Yeah, and it's also a demonstration of communication, because you've got to have the traffic coordinated in such a way that Nobody has to wait. You realize that the
And
police.
next guest is arriving.
Next guest is arriving. Everything is choreographed. It's like a choreography. Yeah. So people are communicating. Walkie-talkies are chattering left, right, and center. Everybody is coordinating, and it's beautiful.
In military terms, we'll say they've RV'd at a particular point.
Okay.
Meaning they've rendezvoused at a particular point,
There you
and
go.
then you arrive one after the other.
Indeed.
So, the next person to be we're expecting to see here would have to be former presidents and their spouses. And so, if there's anything, then it means that in order of seniority, then you have to be former President John Agyekum Kufuor, and Miss Teresa Kufuor would have to come. Yes, John Agyekum Kufuor is now ready. I think he's down with his walking stick, majestically taking the strides. And I think in order to get everything done in good stead, I think he's going to use a wheelchair. Yes. So this is telling us that, you see, you can't cheat. Nature, would say. Now look at him, the gentle giant that we used to call now is now in a wheelchair. That is life, and he's not going to pay his last respect. Facilities should be disability friendly. Because if it is not disability friendly, now a former president who cannot have the luxury of walking as he used to walk, now using a wheelchair, whether mechanized or manual, whatever, the fact is that he's using a wheelchair. If he's using a wheelchair and there is no access for this wheelchair, how can he come in and do this that the whole country decided to do? So it looks as if, as a people, we are not only supposed to make sure that the conference center looked at this. If we had
I don't see any ramps there. So, yeah.
And the gradient in front of the Parliament House,
Quite steep.
you can't use a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Because we are brothers and sisters, disabled brothers and sisters, people hold space.
And he's exiting. Before once worked
DC as a local government
and a colleague president, former president, yeah.
And this is how.
And the man from whom he took over in 2001. Yeah. So.
And it's so instructive, and you can even see. But then what is missing here is that if president came age or other disease health conditions, so Madame Teresa is not worth former president. And this is what we face in life. So former President John Agyekum Kufuor was president from 2001, from January 7th, 2006, and then ended January 1st, 2010. That was when Professor John Evans Atta-Mills, the late Professor John Evans, Fifi Atta-Mills, took over as the President of the Republic of Ghana.
President John Dramani Mahama, who according to the program should be following President Kufuor, who just left the premises of the conference center. where former President Rawlings is being laid in state. Today is day 3 of the funeral service, and everything will be rounded off in the afternoon with traditional and customary rites scheduled to take place from 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. Today we will end slightly earlier than we did, God willing, yesterday, and then tomorrow we shall move to day 4, which is the final day. And what do we have, Lieutenant Tay? From 8 o'clock, what is happening?
You have the filing past. This will be done by the family, the Chief of the Defense Staff, and the IGP and heads of other security agencies, the former Chairman of the Council of State, the Chief of Staff, the Chief Justice, the Speaker of Parliament, former President John Ajay Kufuor and spouse, if possible, former President John Dramani Mahama and spouse, the Vice President of the Republic and the Second Lady, visiting heads of state, the President of the Republic and the First Lady, and then the clergy before the service begins. That should be about 9:10 a.m.
And that is when we're getting closer to seeing the casket of the former president the last time. Then we would now have to admit and accept that we have finished with the funeral ceremony and we have committed his mortal remains to the ground. Then everything now starts from there, and we can now see the late former president is gone to the Maker.
And speaking of tomorrow's rites, we would like to entreat the general public as much as possible if they could watch the ceremony virtually rather than trooping to the Independence Square. We are all reminded that we are not in normal times, so we would like to entreat the general public to take this into consideration. And as mentioned before, the routes that the procession passes.
Yes, he was also a Deputy Minister of Communication. Yes, appointed by President Rawlings. Yes, and number 2 to Dr. Akosua Cabral, who we had a chance of interviewing yesterday. Yes.
So former president from 2013 to 2017, January 7th, 2013 to January 7th, 2017.
The brother of the former president is also paying his final respects to the late president, Mr. Ibrahim Mahama.
It's the face bump time. COVID face bump. Yeah, some of the bumps are done virtually. Yes, I saw the Honorable Abla Jifa Gomashi doing a virtual one. Yeah. So it's about the bump. Yeah.
That is the former president of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, the fourth Republican Constitution from 2013 to 2017.
he also qualifies in a strange way as a former vice president as well.
Yes.
Yes, two in one row, you know.
Two in one row.
Yeah.
Has one individual that really experienced
All the levels, right?
all the levels. Has experienced all the levels.
I'm looking forward to
Yes.
that will be part of the procession. President Rawlings was elected without a rider.
Without a rider, and I think it's only our people who can do this one. There's a military, and they will tell you that you dare go wrong. So whoever is supposed to be in charge of this riderless horse would have to make sure that this horse behaves, and he would do it.
Obeys instructions, eh?
Yeah.
There will be a handler for it.
Definitely, yes, yeah.
And it's symbolic of his love for riding. And then it's also symbolic of the fact that I'll say it's a symbolic horse.
Yes.
That's why it's riderless.
Yes, because the rider is passed.
The rider has passed. So the riding boots will be turned to face backwards to depict or show that the rider is no more. Yes, so the riding helmet, the riding jacket, the riding crop, all the riding accoutrements will also be placed in the saddle as the horse travels along. So viewers, as we have mentioned now, when you see the riderless horse in the procession tomorrow, this is what it means.
Presidents, yes, spouses of former Chief of Staff Honorable Frema Osayofara. She is now she is next, and we now move into the spouses of.
So that's the chief of staff doing her tour, filing past the body.
After the Chief of Staff, then we should be expecting to see the Secretary to the President, Secretary to the President, and that would be Nana Asante Bediatu. That's the secretary to the president.
So we do have now entering the premises of the Accra International Conference Center the current Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Alban Bagbe.
Kingsley Sumani Bagbe, and with the leadership of Parliament. So now the leadership of Parliament behind him. Parliament. So I think, yes, that is the term now. So we now have the Right Honorable of the members of Parliament, and they're led by the Right Honorable Kingsley Sumani Bagbe, the current Speaker, the Speaker of the 8th Parliament. He has just Alban Bagbe in your picture now. Right Honorable Alban Bagbe in your picture, filing past the former president. Now the turn of some members of Parliament. Yes. Drisu, a member of the NDC. We have Alban Bagbe, the Speaker of Parliament, some members of Parliament. These are leadership, that is Osei Chairman Sabonsu. Behind Osei Chairman Sabonsu is Haruna Itu. So, viewers, wherever you are, we're still at Accra International Conference Center, where on your screens, whilst you are watching, members of Parliament, Speaker, the leadership of the House, and members of Parliament, the 275 members of Parliament, filing past the mortal remains of the former President of the Republic of Ghana, the first of the Fourth Republican Constitution, the first of the Fourth Republic, born 1947, died 2020 at age 73. We can say really understands and knows former President Rawlings. Is Honorable Yeti Mensah. Honorable Yeti Mensah, you are welcome to the studio and to this committee.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Honorable Yeti. Immediately we mentioned Rawlings and then National Conference Center. The man that you have known, the man that, and because of COVID, the crowd cannot come. What are you thinking about?
It's very sad. The privilege of having
But then, now let us come to the man Rawlings.
yeah,
You know Rawlings, you worked with Rawlings, and you were one of the longest serving sports ministers of this country. Is he a difficult person to work with? Because we know him to be very strict. He has principles, and there are some. He will not joke with.
yeah. Yeah, he was people who do not know.
The following day, Ambassador Victor Smith, who was then working in his office, brought a letter signed by the First Lady, the wife, Nana Konadu Ajima Rawlings, that she and the husband appreciate my contributions, and that it's not this time that we have these politics of pull you down. When you are shining, then people will meet, plan, and try and draw you down. He will motivate you, he will encourage you, he will support you. He will stand by you when he's convinced that what you are doing is right. And valued it up to today. That is continuing to inspire me to reach where I have reached in politics. And don't forget, as a young lawyer, I was posted to Brong-Ahafo region, to the Attorney General's Department for my national service in the early 80s, that for revenue commissioners, tribunals and investigations, appointing me as Assistant Special Public Prosecutor in charge of Brong-Ahafo region. Apparently, a week before I did a case, young as I was at that time. And so the whole Council Office of Special Public Prosecutor originated from the man, Jerry John Rawlings, in his bid to prosecute, to serve as deterrent for economic saboteurs, for people who can gain. And I don't know the number of properties that the man had got at the time of his death. When he was living in Accra, I happened to visit there once. We went for a funeral at transitioned place. Later on, I was told he was staying in a rented place. Apart from his Tefle place, that I know, very modest house. I don't know of any other. But this should be the way forward.
He should be the leader.
If that path is not the correct path to go, as a people and as a nation. And that is why he had no patience for.
That puts me to my next question. Honorable U.T. Mensah, you work with him.
Yeah.
And you know that in this part of the world, you know, there are people who don't have anything to show for but for politics. Before politics, they were nobody. They have not done any hard work before. And so when they're going into politics, they're going into politics to make wealth. And you have a leader you are all following, and the man is against this. How comfortable were you? Were you not afraid of your future? That
the man we're working with the details. Like I said, we started with him years back before 31st. And he, was quite an interesting person. All where we're coming from, and our mantra, probity and accountability. You have to bear in mind that there will be a day of reckoning. So whatever you are doing, you have to be very careful. There were times when people even consider funny whenever you found, and they will remove it before stepping out to come to cabinet meetings. So we knew who he was, and he would not spare anybody, no matter how close you were with him, if you should cross the red line.
You know what you're going to face. Right Honorable Doe Ajaho, former Speaker of Parliament, you have a very fine experience working with former President Rawlings. Do you think at any point in time?
Yes, he's not expressed it openly. From discussions with him, what I've observed is that he did not want his legacy to be destroyed. Up to where he has reached, he still believes that there's more to be done. He believes that there's more to be done, irrespective of what is achieved so far. But he still believes that there's a lot that we need to do as a people. Especially when you can't see injustice. They can't see people, soft is to fight corruption. Is to walk the talk on probity and accountability. And anytime he see people departing from that path, he feels a sense of betrayal. They feel that, look, all these sacrifices that I did, putting my life at risk, why can't people see it in that light and continue in that spirit? Even it's all to this country. But at the same time, he also felt betrayed. He felt that people are not, people are not pursuing that path. And don't forget, we were young at that time in the 80s when the revolution was. I get people who speak as if all were rosy in this country when Jerry John Rawlings came onto the political scene, in December 79 and then in 80. The Honorable Dr. John Soforiata, the father of the current Minister of Finance, when he moved his motion to reject the budget statement of the Liman government, and if you read the motion that he moved, it paints a very brief picture of the state of affairs in the country at that time. Why he moved it from at the time, it was virtually negative growth. Where he left it off. And the level of stability that we have seen as a people, as a nation, from 93 January, when we went to the constitutional rule. This is the first time Ghana had the longest period of uninterrupted constitutional rule. And this was a constitution which was virtually worked on by people who were condemned that they don't have knowledge to write constitutions and all those things. People thought that we could not extend electricity to the northern part of the country, except that we build a dam. He was able to do that. He expanded water system. He expanded electricity. He expanded, secondary schools across the length and breadth so that they can put education at the doorsteps of the people. The self-help program of electrification. Mention them. Look, I have no apology to anybody to say that he's one of the greatest leaders, presidents this country gave. I read a book. One senator called Alan Simpson of the U.S. was introducing President Ford at Harvard University. And the words that he used continue to guide me. And he said, if you have integrity, on Rawlings had integrity, and nothing else matters.
Nothing else.
Notwithstanding how they may want to rewrite the history books, notwithstanding how people may want to disown him, betray him, abandon him, nothing else matters, either in life or in...
We promulgated the Constitution in 1993. What was his mood when we were moving from the PNDC into the NDC era? What was his mood? Was he comforted?
Let me just, add something to what my brother, the speaker, said. I read about the state of Africa and concluded that all failed states, that's what we're talking about, like, when virtually everything was started and was
former ministers who were appointed by former President Jerry John Rawlings would now come in to file past to pay their last respect to their boss, their former boss, the late Jerry John Rawlings. So we're still at the Accra International Conference Center, where we now have the members of the Council of State now coming in. We will see former Chief Justice, a member of the Council of State, Her Ladyship Georgina Wood, and then former mayor of the Greater Accra, former mayor of Accra, Nia Ajuri Blankson, now a member of the Council of State. They would soon be on your screens. They are at the conference center going to file past the remains of former President Jerry John Rawlings. Now we have on your screen some of the former ministers that worked with former President Rawlings. That we have Tando, we have Akuya Danswa, we have those former ministers that worked during former President Rawlings' time. Commodore Steve Obimpe, right? Tando. To pay the last respect to the remains of former President Jerry John Rawlings. He was their boss. who arrived. He will be in the hall. How's the water reading? It's fine. That's it. And how is the constituency? Not bad. No, but you have to visit. With me in the studio to look at the life of former President Rawlings are two solid individuals. I have Akuyasene Adanswa, who worked with former president, and then Dr. Tony Addo. Dr. Tony Addo and Akuyasene Adanswa, you're welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
Now, let me quickly start with you.
I would describe former President Rawlings has opportunity to people that he identifies as having some leadership qualities, somebody who was
He was the people's man. Wherever he went, the people were there.
Yeah.
How was it like around this time?
He worked for the people and he died just like mantra.
Your advice to the youth to look at integrity, probity, accountability, and not run too fast in life, and making sure that the results that they get in the end, when they are lying, people can describe them as we are all describing former President Rawlings.
Yes, Ambassador Dansua has more or less said it all in terms of the advice for the youth. But the youth follow our footsteps. They imprint us. So what are the elderly, the grown-ups, what are they doing in our society? We say we are not poor. But you see, there's such a big gap between the few affluent minority and the large mass population. And yet power emanates from the mass majority. Why have our politics become so monocratic? Why? We didn't learn anything from 1979. People were executed for crimes that pale into insignificance as compared to today.
Let me rudely interrupt you and announce that organized groups, this is the 10 of organized groups, and this is Achimota, the Achimota alumni. That is where Rawlings belongs to. They are now, it's their turn to now file past the remains of the former president, Jerry John Rawlings. Yes, Dr. Tony Addo.
Well, the point I'm making is that our democracy has gone astray. It is no longer democracy. You have state capture, nepotism, corruption, and what I would call a fascist regime, complete fascist regime. Look at our Ayawaso, brown shirts.
Tony Addo and Ambassador Ekuasena Danso, and former Member of Parliament for North Dai. It's a pleasure. And I have former President Rawlings, country, and they have dominated the political scenes of this country. Let me first introduce Ambassador Kwesi Ahoy, High Commissioner to South Africa, and this is the latest one, but then really worked as minister for former President Rawlings. And then with him in the studio with me, we have Benjamin Clement Egan, who was a former secretary to cabinet and high commissioner to that with you. Kwesi, who was Rawlings? Was it difficult to work with?
Just a little correction. I worked with Rawlings from 1979 through to would you say 2000?
Yes.
Yeah. As the CEO of Ghana's Promotion Council, the CEO of Ghana Trade Fair Authority, Culture,
Right. Okay.
and under John MAhama became Minister for the Interior and Ambassador to South Africa. So during that period was when Ghana was, the period I worked under Rawlings was the period when Ghana was trying to catch the eye of the wild world, as it were. We wanted to get into the export scene because our foreign exchange situation was dire. We wanted to attract foreign investment as well as local investment.
And along with it, also the very structure and system for good governance. We had the Ghana Civil Service totally overhauled to give it capacity for coordinating everything that a public administration system required. Until then, you should go back to 1982, find out any structure of any ministry, you will find it was basically administrative, no policy capacity, and so this famous thing that they call the four-line directorate, didn't come just by chance. It was well structured. We had the great gift that two of who are called the last of the Mohicans, the late Mr. G.K. Saki and the late Mr. E.S.I. had somehow been left behind after some events in the country had swept away the strongest of our public servants. And they selflessly also contributed. And so under the president, the chairman then, and then later president's supervision, so much was done. He never held anybody back who did well in making their contributions. So if today we have a public administration system that works, a National Development Planning Commission that works, and a decentralized system that works, it is because he allowed selflessly other people who knew what had to be done to do so unfettered. And there's another aspect to that attitude of his. Having declared that he did not know everything, it meant he brought on board a lot of people who would otherwise perhaps have remained at best supervisors in the organizations that they belonged to, because at the time of his arrival they were not very senior in their organizations. But because of the opportunity he gave all those who wanted to work to do so, there are many leaders that he created. So my description of him, others as they know him would say many things. I would say he was the creator of leaders for Ghana.
For Ghana?
Yeah.
Creator for leaders for Ghana. Kwesi Ahoy. Ambassador Kwesi Ahoy.
Kwesi.
Look at Rawlings. Look at the values he stood for. And look at the job he did. And he came in at a time that Ghana was really... because if you look at the situations he described, why 79? And situations he described, why 81? And then after 79 and 81, 83, look at 85, and now after 85. How was he feeling when it was so difficult, and was he sure that he was going to be successful in the end?
I think my colleague, Ambassador Egan, hit the point when he said, as a leader, you have to know the men that you want to use. And he did that perfectly. He assembled, I would say, the best team that Ghana has ever assembled, an all-embracing team.
He was not in a hurry.
We were not in a hurry, no. But of course, those were times that were rough. You didn't know whether you live tomorrow or not. But the team that he assembled, apolitical, across the divide, with only one objective, motive: save Ghana, rescue Ghana. And everybody brought themselves on board with that philosophy, that set of mind. I recall very well those days of the Cocoa evacuation program that started in 1982, right? I was the one who penciled the concept, and I took it to him in the Burma camp. I said, sir, I think we have to do this. And the guidelines were very clear. We had to close all the universities, get every Ghanaian, every group of Ghanaians to come on board this exercise of evacuating the locked up and abandoned cocoa that had happened during Liebman's time. So he took my draft, read through very quickly, and let's go work. That was it. Then he said, okay, Art Flight Lieutenant Chimo, Art Captain Menyado, Art Captain Donko. He just rattled the names like that. So we put these people together. We got our office at the State House, 6th floor, and that was the beginning of that massive national mobilization of the total capacity of this country. Everybody came on board. And anytime I talk about this, I remember the good old lawyer Mesa in secondary, old man. I went to him and I told him, listen, old man, we need you and your lawyers to come on board so we can carry the cocoa into the ships in Takoradi Port. The old man took me around his house, his room, every room of his, he took me there. He said, nobody has spoken to me like this in my whole life. Crazy, but tomorrow morning, I'll bring my lawyer group, we'll go to Takoradi and we'll carry the cocoa. And the old lawyer Mesa was carrying cocoa on his head. Every person who owned articulators in this country committed the articulators to move the cocoa. The students sacrificed their school, and that is history now. You know, everybody had a passion for making Ghana what it had lost in the past. And I've never seen such dynamism. And that dynamism only happened because the leadership was trusted and everybody believed that Jerry had a purpose. God gave him purpose, and all of us had to join.
To drive it.
Thank you.
Right. Mr. Egan,
Yes.
before you go, Jerry Rawlings will be buried tomorrow. Whatever values he stood for will be with us. How should we encourage the youth, and how can we encourage the youth to accept this and know that this is the way that can help building this country?
To take off from where Ambassador Kwesi Aboy just ended, about how an idea that was brought to him received good attention, and because of who he is, helped to organize a massive, I would say that and then I earlier on mentioned how it was that for as long as you made a contribution, he encouraged you and let you develop. His passion to see Ghana develop and take its place among the Community of Nations. And that this would not happen without people being committed. And so to the youth, I would say, take from him the idea that when you are selfless and would allow other people to move in leaps and bounds, because it's not only one person who can do it. You know, if you are quite missing in our understanding of how nations run, is that there has to be work to the purpose of one common good, that no one person can do it. He said it, no one person can do it. You have to have different people common to all, not a common good that advantages others to the disadvantage of others. Because I said, no, this man has so much policy, but to cap it, Rawlings did not belong only to Ghana. You know, very much like Nkrumah, you know.
It was a reason I asked the question.
Yeah, yes. Very much like Kwame Nkrumah. He's next to what, you know, Africans can consider their leaders. You know, Nkrumah has his place, but next to him knew about Rawlings and wanted a person like Rawlings to be their leader. You know, so
that is Kwesi. Final Kwesi. Was Rawlings at any point in time convinced that he has been successful?
He did believe that he had been successful, but he also recognized that he still had a long way to go. And that Ghana had a long way to go. Now that he's gone, we are yet to see how his legacy will be carried on by the current generation and the future generation. Question you asked about the youth, let them be inquisitive, let them challenge the time. Rawlings was a challenger. He didn't take yes for an answer. He wanted to go beyond the answer to find out more. That's what our kids don't do anymore.
And that is where.
And that's what is missing.
Is missing. That is what. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ambassador.
If I use the word enigma for this man, he was an enigma, right?
Sure.
Check it out.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure having the two of you in the studio. It's a pleasure.
Right, brother.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
So, Ambassador Edith Hazel, okay? And then Ambassador Sylvanus Tamaklu. Is it Tamaklu?
Yes.
Yes, okay. They'll give us a second outro. Welcome back to the Accra International Conference Center, day 3 of the final funeral, right, for former President Jerry John Rawlings. We have a series of interviews going through in the studio, and I have 2 people with me in the studio. I have Ambassador Edith Hazel, High Commissioner to Denmark, but closer, if you say High Commissioner to Denmark, you may not link it as quickly as possible. But then she was the Deputy General Secretary of the 31st December Women's Movement for 15 years. Our 31st December Women's Movement, we're looking at the Gary processing, we're looking at palm oil, that's getting the women to get the economy running, encouraging women economy.
The bunkum hene obronika mo ne lieutenant asante ma mere mu no yentoto kumo asekora se waba no medina na ne yanto ye ba ya ba ya mamre ne amane se ne fata bia na jari kwa asante mpanifo mo ho no magina wa watu wo de yankra komo eno tin
is of the view, and they say they believe that there is life after death, and they know that definitely former President Jerry Rawlings will go he will go and he will meet the people there, the dead ancestors there. He wants them to, he's sending a message through Jerry to their ancestors there, that so that the ancestors there would know that one of them.
Omo akoma na kwa ba omo busa no kwa so ono so abona mane nyina se ewura santimawura na asoma no so ono so omfa na numonyam kase mna meta ene anwumna yi amamna dwumadi a ye die ase yewura obaya ye omo akwa ba.
And they are still Kodia, who is the Kumewu Hene, sitting in state and come to the funeral to support the first Medas. Meaning, say, who a human inside.
Yama me adwuma kradu wo ye de se kronkron aseda dan da no tu anamabo tumfo se na ase no enu tie ne se ye na nanom afre na onum bi wo kwa so no fa bi nso ko ba mane e ma ye na nanom no mu anti makro ti brekete si banti makro tie ye aye na akasa wo boa enso awusu wo bora kwa aye jina na ka ekura na pampa so ekura na kura ko bi eku na utekura ha nu na kura ko bi eku na utekura ha aye wo bregu sansan bregu na eje aye wo bregu sansan bregu na eje ana ko fra hine e una mane a wo bimlo ebo wo ko befu ana wokwa befuana ni anyawo na moku ya samfue wokwa befuana wenyamio na moku ya samfue wokwa befu anaye odiewe anaye odiewe anaye odiewe ebusa penye anaye odiewe eno odiewe no bino ebo
Yadamasi bebre. Ebre nunti. Yadamasi bebre. We di adanse pefe se Asante Mawura ni sunsum awura fia ha. Amamne no ene ye hya ase no. Sabre ye wote kokko so na de se de ene Asante Hema ade se de aba. Program ya ye ewo TV nyina so ewo Ghana. Ti obia enhwe na ye ntoto ne mama ne nyina anya kama kama. Nana osu bempa ya maame mansa ya twemu.
Yo, na chia mi odaroma wo ho tie mi ento bari Chumba akodi otoso mienu eye oti kokko so otumfo se atutu abebio ko ananu di animu mi be se no otumfo bu ni nsane ne na sidam eye snap pantu mienu whiskey strada osije na fe twasa fie sana fie otumfo se do na sinisiti no ti man ko dan samandeja to maame baya ntuba
Roma mbetie me kakra ba ene ne nananom ene abusua e ma nana sote so ono na se kane mampanyini na eso aye gya na se kwan wo se wo na kwadu ma me ba ya wo se ne mane ne nananom ene na busua wo mu bro ni sapantu saa na ya fa nkata na se so na se duru nsia do ne abusan sai na kente ya gya me kwan na kwadu ma me ba ya na mama ne no no
So, Doctor, Honorable Zeneto.
Our
Yadama ase yabesa babiem mama yentie nsama boy asano na bibi tuato na enam agro na ebehye mu nti no aduru bra wodi yewura asantema wura wote kokko so ne nsanwa eba nti nana pemba
Yo, almost say, Tibiara, a chamber sat nasi. Let me didn't have my money, I don't know, but I must see.
Dede kan asida PSA na de ma miwura kotoko he dumfo si tutu abebio na nadamfo na se na di nyina ebra oda hoyi memra na membehwe na bibia entoto ye yemani de ye kura ewura ne na san ya che fie duenu ni akire ni one na san ya che futu bia obia wodi amano amankuta wudi o ma die ye nyina ya ni tua kanka oba ba beta na chi abehwe be hu se de hu sitie onu tutu bankran ya biara obebe biara no oba akokwe se de ni hu sitie enti asnyini nenso abanisa enti se waba ba behwe na damfo na se na ade nyina ba behwe na ni achi so mampani dada JJ Rawlings aye nyina friend Papa J no asiesie ne kama eye abusuan so mase ane me nana no nyina me mamu nyina shedin mamu nyina yakọ ane abusuan nyina mamu nyina yakọ awu bibia mu kakra meka ne se bibia nye boko asumdue mra odomra akro ye me de ohwehwa no no ti dia meka ne se Papa J Masi, Madame Fo, Kumaumai, Nyala, Yenya, and there, ye jaw quite fair. That our cheaper papa be.
Sana otumfo nsi anamu aya be ma safu churubo kodua kumawu man hene otumfo anu disem a ode soma no na ode atidwa no nia otumfo e kan se nase ne nua ne bibia enenne omampani dada odahoi na onka ne bibia mu se ebia na omampani dada otumfo ene abane se ya otumfo se oma ye nyina ya de nyina papa je damri fa die ne amani hunu damwase
Asante mamra se ohwe som a nasi asom Ghana manya eno ho ti en watu se basa osom a kwaside bia former president ho ama ebre bi atwam eye 2010 o mani title bi waji odin woni dente o this title no ma no ampasa oba Ghana ha no wabebo adwuma ese woye ode gi ewo montam ha sei ti omama yakọ a etwa to okura yenya nwiyeye se ohene bi wa ha na se wo so wadisiedi a ekwanda ho obetimi aba efri sabre ya kopem no 9 nefa ye je adisiedi ne aye amamra ka ho edamase kete
Semichaha, a man penny data, Rawlings. Atone Betty, Yasantua. I am a crack. A man penny data, dear Chiribai. Chrono, a friend. Baby, O John Cosheno. Anna, a creature, ampim. Yasantua, Johnny Betuamin, and Nachiwa, ampim. Ampa and crack. A man penny data, dear Chirib, a cuckoo too. And into a tone bedini, Yasantua. Now, so dear Chiriba should say, I ain't from Pon and a bain and a Johnny Coshe. Ampa Obatumina, a Pimchewa. And it's your Bapanya Yasantua. So we didn't have Onana Chewa, Ampimchewa and Brown and a Johnny. A Coma Santa Mino, men o Johnny Betua me, Menana, Ampimchewa. And it is a Mijina. About Panya Yasantua and Tina Mijina. Yauna Naja Padia Moesa me.
And we also had Nana Frifa Yamua, who was with him as well. So that was an absolutely fantastic display of rich Ghanaian tradition and culture, music, drumming and dancing. And basically these were the in-laws of the President Rawlings coming to pay their respects and ordered to come and represent the Otumfo Asantehene. Which brings us to the end of today's events, which is day 3.
Yes. Tomorrow, the funeral will take place at the Black Star Square. We should expect the day to start at 8 a.m., where we'll have the filing pass between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. We should have the filing pass by the family, the CDS, the Chief of the Defense Staff, the IGP and heads of security agencies, the former chairman of the Council of State, the Chief of Staff, the Chief Justice, the Speaker of Parliament, former President John Ajekum Kufuor and his spouse, the former President John Dramani Mahama and his spouse. We'll also see the Vice President of the Republic and the Second Lady, visiting heads of state, the President of the Republic and the First Lady, and the clergy. The burial service itself should be expected to start at 9:10 a.m. Following that, we'll have the procession of the body from the Independence Square or the Black Star Square to the military cemetery. Now, square. We should see it pass through the Osu Castle Road, hit the Ridge Roundabout, proceed on to the Kojo Thompson Road at Dabraka, then on to Circle, Nima Police Station, the Gifford 37 Road, down on to Bema Camp, travel onto the MAhama Road, hit the roundabout there, and finally proceed to the military cemetery for interment. Now we urge the general public to watch the burial service virtually as much as possible and then kindly step out to the late former president. Please, you are also reminded to keep your mask on throughout and then be mindful of social distancing and the COVID protocols as much as possible. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much again for your attention, Lieutenant Judy Nunate. With me, my name is Gabriel Asante Busompem, and I have run this morning the day's activities with Captain Edward Senanu Akako. Then, as usual, Lieutenant Judy Nunate and Kafuide, a broadcaster. Check yourself, wear your mask, avoid any arrest by the police so that you can be part of the funeral of the former president, Jerry John Rawlings.
you.